Hello everyone, it's Just a Dad. Today we're going to do advertising versus reality with the Dreame X60 Max Ultra Robot Vacuum Cleaner. Here we've got some spilt coffee. It says it has an artificial intelligence sensor on the front and a blue LED light that it can sense this spill and do a special mopping event. We're actually going to see if that happens. So in this series, I look at the advertisements and I see if we can actually do what they advertise. We're going to do about 7 tests today. So we're going to do spilt coffee. We're also going to do the thresholds, see if it can do the tall thresholds, corner cleaning capability, and we're also going to check for oil stains. I'll put some oil on this floor and we'll see if it can remove it. It says 99% of the oil stain. It also says it can pick up screws and peanuts. We're also going to check that. But the main test is going to be this special blue light that it shines, and it can distinguish between liquid, fur, and like particles. Now, why is that important? So with a spilt liquid here, if this thing was in vacuum and mop mode, what you want is you want the robot to identify this as liquid, stop the vacuum part, lift this up and lift that up, and then just do a special mopping event where these mop pads have to absorb that liquid, go back to the base station, wash it, come back and do another mopping event. If it doesn't turn the vacuum off, it's going to suck liquid up, get it all in here, and that really attracts dust and dirt and leads to mold. So we'll see. And there's where the little blue light's going to come on. Thresholds, it's got these little robotic arms it's going to deploy to go over tall thresholds. The side brush does go into the corner for cleaning the corner out. Now, I did buy this robot vacuum cleaner with my own money. It retails for $1,700. This is a flagship robot vacuum cleaner. I do give this is home of the honest review, so that's why I'm able to do this series. If it fails, it fails. You're going to see it in live time. Now, if you want to find the robots that I highly recommend, check out my website, justadadapproved.com. If you purchase this robot or any robots off my website or in this video, they are Amazon links. I am an Amazon affiliate. If you click on it, it's going to take you to Amazon where you can purchase it. The product's not going to cost you anymore, but I do earn a small commission from the sale. Again, justadadapproved.com. That website will be getting revamped. All of these ad versus reality test scores will be on the website, and you'll see my ultimate review. I take the robots to my home. I live with them for 3 months before I give it my Just a Dad sticker seal of approval, if it actually gets it. So after I live with it for 3 months, I give it a score. This Scorecard will be on my website. Then I'm going to get it a sticker, a gold standard, a buy it now, wait for a deal, or skip it. It'll get my Just a Dad sticker seal of approval if it gets one of these 3. Now in the settings, I do have the laboratory functions on. I've got stain recognition, large particle boost, and active enhanced detect light. That's that blue LED light. Now for this test, we'll be doing a room clean. I will be using Clean Genius. And let's go ahead and start the clean. So the robot's gonna wash its mop pads with hot water, fill the robot up with hot water also.
Process will take a bit longer.
And I do have it in the settings. I've got it set on soaking. So that's why it said it's going to take a little longer. It's going to heat the mop pads up, but it also lets them soak in hot water. It takes about 4 to 5 minutes to get this process done where it'll undock and travel to that room. Now I do have a thermal imaging gun where we're going to measure the temperature of the floor. This does do hot water mopping. Now, the robot doesn't have a way of keeping the water hot inside its internal water tank when it undocks, but it says after the first minute it maintains, so it says after 1 minute it maintains 104 degree Fahrenheit hot mopping. So keep in mind it could take a minute for it to travel to the room. So that minute's going to go by really quick. Okay, it's going to undock. We're going to try to see if we can see those mop pads. So down there's really hot. The mop pads are warm. Okay, it's traveled to this room. We're going to check the corner cleaning really quick, and then when it identifies that coffee, it'll go into a special mopping event. This is what we're hoping for. See, it is mopping. Whoops. I need to be... Okay, so it is doing some hot water mopping. You can tell the water behind it is warmer. Now, I'm getting very specific, but let's check the corner now. So it sensed particles and it went into a large particle boost. It turned the mop off. and it slowed the brush speed down. So the mop pads are lifted. It's in large particle boost right now, vacuum only. And it's going to do a square pattern. I like that it slowed the side brush down because sometimes that stuff can get flung around. There's the side brush. A little hard to see, but there is a blue LED light on the front. That is, it's more prevalent at night. Which I will turn the lights off and we'll see. Did leave some particles for doing a, but we'll see. I think it's going to come back to that. And it did ramp the suction up. It's going back into vacuuming and mopping now. I would say that corner is 100% clean. So that, it did pass. Now, you can tell those mop pads have cooled off quite a bit. We got another large particle boost. It's turned the mop pads off. It has slowed the side brush down. I had turned the lights off. I wanted you to see the blue light. It has an LED light that it turns on also. But we're in that large particle boost. I really do like how it slows that side brush down. Keeps it from splattering the debris. So it does say it can do 100% corner cleaning. That's about 99.5 maybe, really close to 100. This one's gonna be pretty darn close too. I'm not sure why it's traveling way over here. We got a large particle boost symbol right there. Oh, it wants to go into the other room, I think. That's a little odd. The square protrudes into the other room. Huh. So it's in the middle of a large particle boost and it kind of traveled into no man's land. So I think it's going into the other room to try to get to that square, which is a little odd. Yeah, it traveled into this room to try to get, you can see now it's on the other side of this room. That needs fixed. That's not good. That's going to waste battery life and it's unnecessary. Here it comes back. Honestly, was not expecting that, but at least the map is really accurate. It did go right in the other room, right where it should. But now we're out of particle boost, back to our cleaning. And the mop pads are going to be very cooled down by now. We can verify that. Yeah, I don't want to stand around it. Its obstacle avoidance is so sensitive. The floor, Yeah, we're not doing any hot mopping now. Now, it's got to get close to that stain before it can recognize it. It has not recognized it yet. It'll show up on the app when it does. Yeah, it didn't like me standing there. It's interesting, it's doing the perimeter again. So it's going to start on the back row now and do the straight lines. And we're going to know right away once it senses this. The next one next pass it should recognize it. It didn't. Nope. It's funny, earlier I did this test and it did recognize the spilt coffee. So it works sometimes it doesn't. It's not 100% accurate as far as sensing liquid. So we did not get a liquid sense, and it's just doing a normal mopping. So, I mean, it actually did a pretty good job of mopping it. We may get a remopping event, but what bothers me is the side brush spun in it and it could have vacuumed up some of that liquid. But I think this has a dirt detection sensor in the base station. It's just so hard to decipher the description. They just don't tell us a whole lot about these robots. Specifics, like spec sheets. All right, it's going to be done and go back and wash its mop. Okay, it's all done with this room. It's going to travel back to the base station. Oh no, it's going to lower the LiDAR. That's right, I've got a low clearance area in here. Now this robot did not want to go under furniture on its own. It was kind of hit or miss whether it did or not. So I had to actually put in the map low clearance area. And that's the smallest I could do with like a 1.5, like 2 foot by 2 foot or something. So it's bigger than what it actually needs, but it will go under that piece of furniture now. That furniture is 4 inches tall and the robot is 3.15 inches. So. And it does go all the way underneath there and clean it. It's just going to do a larger perimeter first. Okay, now it's all done. It's going to raise the LiDAR back up and travel back to the dock. Interesting. I thought the timeline just jumped real quick because it was sticking over here for a long time and then it just jumped. So I thought it would be more of a progressive move over. Now we're hoping for a dirt detection event. So it's going to go back. Hopefully all that coffee is inside the mop pads. It's going to wash it with hot water, suck the water up into the dirty water tank. And I think there's a dirt detection sensor. And if the water is dirtier than normal, which it should be with that coffee in it, it should tell the base station should tell the robot, go back and remop where you just came from. Okay, so the room kind of smells like coffee a little bit, so it's hard to tell, but I think there's a little bit of a film on here. I can tell it doesn't feel like it's super clean. The corners are super clean. it might be pretty clean. If it did smear, it wasn't very much. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty clean. Okay, we did not get a re-cleaning event. Task completed. Let's see. Let's just look at history real quick. History. There it is. Selected area, vac and mopping. We didn't get a dirty map. So I was hoping for. We got the 2 other events, but we did not get a remopping event. Let's just see. There's the dirty water. You know, I would expect that to be a little dirtier, I think. Okay, so here's the Dreame X60 Max Ultra doing an obstacle avoidance. It's actually really good, but that little checker on the ground there, you see, it did move it around. That was a Kleenex that it was able to avoid. There again, it picked up the checker and moved it around. Now, I was able to go around that cable pretty good. There is some dog poop right there in the middle. It did touch it a little bit. The paper, it did move the paper a little bit. So it's not 100%, but it does have really good obstacle avoidance. And it does take pictures of those obstacles and send them to you. I am gonna give it a pass. Okay, we're gonna see if it can vacuum up screws and peanuts. It's gonna remove its mop pads and leave them back at the base station. That's what it's doing right now. Then it's gonna undock and travel to this room.
Mop pads removed.
There's the mop pads. Now here's my test area. I got a bunch of screws, coffee, kitty litter, and a bunch of long hairs. But this is what I'm most curious about is the screws and the peanuts. I've never tried that before. I've always tried this type of stuff, but it shows it in the ad. Now my settings are vacuum, remove mop pads when it's gonna vacuum carpet, clean carpets first, carpet boost, side brush rotates on carpet, and I have chassis lift on. And then in the carpet, I've got it as medium to high profile carpet. Okay, here comes the first pass. We didn't quite get it there yet. The robot is definitely lifted up, I can tell. Now it lifts itself by lifting that back wheel and the 2 main wheels. Okay, there's the screws. Okay, it may not have been right over the vacuum yet. Went right over them. Okay. This may have to do with the chassis lift. Let's change that setting. Okay, I'm going to turn chassis lift off. That might be for really, really thick carpet. And then if you click in your map, click the piece of carpet editing, you can put... Now carpet gets really confusing, so let's click the map. You also got to click carpet and then carpet types. We have lots of settings here. Now this one here, this room, originally I had it set to medium to high. I don't know, they don't give us exact measurements. This is about the most standard carpet, I think. I mean, I know it's not super tall, but I don't think it's super low. It is medium. Medium pile carpet, I would think. But we don't have, so I'm going to put medium to high. But I took the chassis lift off. Okay, this is a tricky thing that's going to catch a lot of people. So anytime you change the carpet, so this carpet, I'm back to the original map, and if you just click on it, I edited that carpet and I said that it was medium to high profile carpet. Well, anytime you add medium to high profile carpet, it selects it to avoid. So this was selected. So if you click on this and you see this carpet cleaning mode, avoid, it's never going to clean that carpet. And that's because I had told it that that was medium to high profile carpet. So this robot can clean medium to high profile, but you just got to go in and say, robot will only vacuum the carpet without mopping. You can put cross. I mean, you do have lots of variables here, but that's going to be something it's caught me twice now. And I want to point that out. And what you'll get is unable to reach the room. That's what I was getting because the whole room's carpet is set to avoid. Okay, I've got it vacuuming this room down. We're not in chassis lift. So you can tell it is hugging the carpet better. And it's not struggling to move on the carpet or anything. So use that chassis lift sparingly, only if that carpet's really tall. Okay, it's vacuuming in nice straight lines. We're gonna see how well it does with the big mess. It's about there. So far, so good. Did an excellent job there so far. It's been dragging the peanuts a little bit. It's churning them up over here, like it drug them a little bit. Here's the first screws. We'll see, maybe it got a couple. The big thing's when it turns. I think I heard a few go in there. It did drag a couple peanuts over here, but it looks like it eventually got them. Yep. There's one peanut here and a couple peanuts over here it drugged. All done. Now we're going to check the auto empty. It did during my carpet torture test, which there's a separate video for that, where this whole floor was covered with hair. It did have a hard time auto emptying. It got jammed up. I think I can hear a couple rattling around with the brush roller. That is an excellent job of vacuuming, but we got more to go. We got to see if it, oh, 2 peanuts. All right, let's check the auto empty. I heard a bunch of them move. We'll see. All right, let's get down here and see. So far, so what? I can definitely hear something.
Paused.
All right, we did not get a jam. Some dust in there. I don't see any screws or nothing. That's okay. I can definitely. That was one of the bigger screws. Again, from the picture, it was hard to judge exactly how big the screws, but not too bad actually. The other screws, most of the other screws were smaller than that. No hair wrap. From vacuuming earlier, the liquid, you know, there is some liquid in here. It's not super bad, but there is some liquid on these from that earlier test we did. This test, I don't have any soybeans, but the screws, again, it was really hard to kind of tell what size and peanuts. You know, it did 95% of it. We didn't have any hair tangle on the side brush, but I have seen hair tangle on the side brush at least whenever we did a VIG test. Okay, now it's time for the threshold testing. I'm gonna have it vacuum It does struggle a little bit when it tries to take the mop pads with it. This room, I did come in this morning. I've only had the robot for about 4 days, and it's been cleaning the studio, and I did find it stuck in here. Well, actually, it was stuck on this threshold when a wheel suspended error. So this is 1.5, and I've got the threshold marked in the app, and 2.25. So let's watch it do the deployment. It is pretty cool to watch. It does have these robotic feet. It can store them and redeploy those robotic feet. That's a really tall threshold. Did leak a little water. So this first step, 1.5 inches, 3.8 centimeters. The next one's 0.7 for a total of 2.25 or 5.71 centimeters. And again, it has struggled with this when it tried to take the mop pads in there. That is well within what they say. They say up to 1.77, 1.69. I think it might struggle even a little bit more with that. I did add the threshold. It will add some thresholds automatically. That's what the green box there is. And here's the redeployment. It's got its front part there stuck on there. I don't know if that's going to cause a problem or not. That's a little bit better time, I think. Well, maybe not. We'll see. It made it. But you can see there's a lot of challenges here that it can have sometimes. Now this is kind of high for like a sliding door threshold. Now if it was going up into another room that was the same height as this, it might be a little easier, and then coming down would definitely be easier. So this is definitely a challenge, going up and over a threshold and then back down to the normal room length. And they do show that kind of going from one floor level to the next floor level. I do see where that would work a little better. Okay, this test is going to be the oil test. So I sprayed a little butter. It's got soybean oil. I've got the oil right here, a little hard to see. I even put some Fritos and smashed some Fritos. You know how Fritos leave oil anytime you... So I've got some oil here, which is really thin. This is a little thicker. We're going to check, see, we're going to do a mopping event. Now it says 99% oil stain removal. I am going to use Clean Genius. We're going to do deep cleaning. So earlier when I did not get a remopping event, this might have been on me. This is so confusing. I'm a little disappointed in myself for not reading it, but I'm used to the old way, I think. So in Clean Genius, auto mop rewashing. I thought this said it works only in deep cleaning mode and Clean Genius mode. I had it selected where it only works in deep cleaning mode. That should be both. That's confusing. And I think in the older robots it was. I might be wrong, and I do have a little bit of dyslexia where I can read something and think it says one thing, but that I don't, and that seems to go with this one. This is auto recleaning only works in deep cleaning mode, not in Clean Genius. I don't like that at all.
So the process will take a bit longer.
Okay, now the grease fighting capability I think has a lot to do with turning the temperature all the way up and letting the mop pad soak in hot water. If we check under mop wash, I've got water temperature set to high temperature soaking. This is better for grease, because what's going to happen is that those mop pads are going to get grease on them, but you want the base station to get the grease off the mop pads. Yeah, and it talks a lot about this 212 degree Fahrenheit self-cleaning. And it talks a lot about this 15 newtons of downward pressure. And it comes with one set of thermal pads that do hold the heat in the mop pads, because right now they're being washed with really hot water, and this set of mop pads does hold the heat a little bit better than a standard set of mop pads. Now, as of February 19th, it does not have matter support yet. Now, it does come with this Dreame multi-surface cleaner that you can put in its solution tank. I put some Shark Vac Mop solution in the clean water tank myself. You can find all the things I use at justadatapproved.com. I don't rely on that tank. You know, they don't tell us how much it adds to the water. So I wondered how I was going to tell where the oil was, but I stumbled upon this. For some reason, the infrared camera can spot the oil. Like, there's the corner, there's my sign. That is where I put the oil. It can spot the oil. That's interesting. So I'm gonna... Okay, so it works in the daylight too. Now we can see, you know, right up 66 degrees Fahrenheit, you know, right at the mop pads. Now again, there's my oil right there. Seems like there's a lot of oil there still, but we'll come back to it. It's got to do another pass. It's got to do a couple more passes right there. Now we're in our standard mopping. It's done the perimeter. The oil is over there. I wish it would have started over there. So it's got to work its way this way, all the way to there. Now we'll look at something here. This is a little interesting. I'm getting a better temperature meter because I can tell this thing, it shows us a lot. So we still see the perimeter of the room where it went around. We're getting good coverage. Now here, we don't see any lines. The perimeter of the room still must be wet. There's where that oil is. Right there's where that oil is. And you can see we're getting pretty good coverage. When the robot actually works, we're not seeing those lines. Yeah, I don't think it's hot mopping anymore. It's getting close. I've changed the color here a little bit. This is going to be, again, we can still see the oil over there. Right there. There's where the first pass was pretty wet. There's that oil. Now we're going to get down and see on our hands and knees and actually see if there's oil there. There's that where it missed. When it extends that side brush, there is a spot there where it doesn't get. I think it ended up getting that. Now I'm over here just trying to visualize. It's a little crazy still. It's going to spread quite a bit actually. Because over here is not greasy. But you don't see it. But like, oh boy, that's slicker than snot right there. Whew, it is still greasy right there. Okay, it is coming back to wash the mops. It thinks it's done. We'll see. We had a pretty tight cleaning pattern. That's what that does when you do, because okay, so it's done cleaning. We did not get a remopping event. Again, that's going to be a little confusing. The Clean Genius, the auto remopping and rewashing only works either in deep. I would recommend leaving it in Clean Genius because I think most people are just going to leave it in Clean Genius and they're not going to do deep cleaning very often. Now, I am going to make a scorecard, ad versus reality. This is just my handwritten notes. Obstacles, pass. Coffee, 50-50. It did work one time it didn't. Large particle boost, pass, but it did go in that other room with some navigation issues. Screws, pass for the most part. Threshold, pass. Hot water mopping, no. Oil stain, no. Overall, ad versus reality is a pass. So I'm glad I'm doing this series, advertising versus reality, and it's kind of developing as we go. I'm going to get more tools to help us out better. But here's the thing about these robot manufacturers. They're being a little sneaky and tricky about it because they're using these advertisements as, oh, hey, this thing can pick up screws. This thing has large particle, but it can sense liquid, which yes, it does sometimes. And those are nice features. But here's the thing that's tricky. Those are lab features, which are off by default. And there's this little stipulation in the app that says, oh, well, this was based on our lab and it may not work in your home. Well, you're doing two things there. You're saying you're putting it front and center in your ad that this thing will identify liquid, it'll identify coffee and do a special mopping event. Yeah. But then on the other hand, you're saying, well, we don't really activate it out of the box. And it's kind of these have been lab features now for 2 years. I think if you're going to display it front and center in their ad, like this is like one of the first things you see is, oh, wow, this thing it can recognize spills and do all this stuff. If you're going to put that front and center, it needs to be a built-in thing that I don't turn on with some stipulations that it may or may not work, in my opinion. I'm glad they give us the buttons. Should be on by default. This should be built in to the robot if you're going to make these claims. So I'm a little disappointed that they're showing. They all do it. I mean, they all kind of have figured out we can show something, but say, well, it may or may not work. Now, getting back to this robot, I am giving it a pass, okay? Nobody is 100% on any of this stuff. The oil, absolutely not. I was a little sketchy on that. I've been starting to do some oil testing, and it does have a lot to do with getting the mop pads hot to get the oil off of it, but there's going to be just some smearing in the meantime, and it has to be more of a chemical base, I think, to get the oil off the floor, so that's kind of a bad claim. Threshold, it's hit or miss. There's all kinds of thresholds out there. So I gave it a pass. It does have those robotic arms. For the most part, it does work, not all the time. Liquid, that was 50-50. I watched it here yesterday and it did it saw 2 different liquid spills. So it worked, but then today it didn't work. So again, overall a pass though, but you got to turn those features on. Be careful with carpet. I think I need to do a whole video just on carpet. This has been enlightening to me of how these flagship robots, and I've kind of hinted on this in the past, lots of settings, lots of potential for not working right. And getting customer support to deep dive into your settings and figure out that you've got carpet set to avoid, I think could be very tricky. So and I've always kind of said that in my first look, messing with carpet settings, ooh. The minute I start messing with carpet settings, I have all kinds of problems, which I did in this video. I recommend letting the robot find the carpet. When it finds the carpet, it calls it a automatically detected carpet, and it gives the settings that you originally put. When you start going and hitting that carpet button, which is nice because there are some pieces of carpet you do want chassis lift on some and not on others, and you do want it to cross some without mopping, and you do want all these settings, but wow, does it get confusing. So wow, and I've had a lot of people say, and it's happened to me too, and this is what I do for a living. So I can only imagine when it happens to me, when I get a carpet setting wrong and it doesn't clean an area, I'm like, what? It's broke, it's not doing this right, it's not doing a good job. Like it's bad. I had a carpet setting wrong. And I've seen that in a few emails from some people. The robot undocks, can't get to where it wants to go, and it just goes back to the dock. I think a lot of it has to do with carpet settings, and I've always been very, very careful. So I'm gonna have to do a video just on carpet settings, and they're all just a little different. And that gets me to, I'm gonna do a separate video on water usage. What I'm finding at my home, it took me probably a year of kind of just doing this 3-month real world test. At first, I just wanted to make sure the robot's doing a good job. It's, I didn't feel like I wanted to throw it out the window. But there's a second thing that I'm getting tired of, is that's filling the clean water tanks up and emptying them, which at first I'm like, as long as it's working, it's not that big a deal. No, because what I'm finding out now is this Clean Genius and this AI uses too much water. It'll wash the mop pads when it has to go clean a room that doesn't have stuff in it sometimes. So I'm coming up with a new strategy of getting away from the artificial intelligence. You can use it and it does an okay job, and you're going to be filling the clean water tanks up a little bit more often, but I think we can maximize the water usage, which is less hassle. I consider filling the water tanks up and down and emptying them is hassle. Now, it's not that big of a hassle, but I don't like doing it. So if we can maximize that, and I think I figured out a way is, have it vacuum your house one day, have it go in and mop certain areas one day. That's going to be very important. Going to be coming up with that in the future, because these things, while at first I wanted that AI just to be all powerful, I don't think it is. I think we got to be a little bit more in control of them. Again, that's why that Mova P10 Pro, not as many settings. It does have some carpet settings, which you can mess up. But boy, these flagship models with that chassis lift and different things, thresholds and lots of different settings and lots of more potential. So again, check out all that I'm going to keep it here. I got to do some comparisons with some other robots real quick. It's going to go to my house. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to do okay. It's doing very well here in the studio. So I will be taking the X60 to my home, giving it the 3-month living with it, trying to fine tune the settings. And that may be something I do later on, is after I live with them, here's the fine-tuned settings that, hey, I maximized the amount of water it used and how clean it got my house. So that might be, because I'm kind of figuring that out, like with the Dreame now at my house and the Mova, I had to really redo their schedules. And it's not complicated, but it's just different than what I've used to been doing. Roborock's AI is the best so far. I do like Roborock's, but their AI seems to use the less water, and I haven't completely verified that yet, but in my preliminary results, their AI does seem to be a little bit better. We don't get a bunch of mop washings when it doesn't have to. So Curve's getting ready to come back here. It's doing amazing. I love it. I know there's been some complaints about it online. It did have that where it was bumping into a lot of stuff. I changed one setting. It's not bumping into too much stuff. It's not perfect, but it's probably going to be the first mop roller that I'm actually going to really give my stamp of approval on, that we're Gen 2 now. The Gen 1s, way too many troubles. These Ecovacs, they're better. The X11's better. It's got little quirks here I got to work out here at the studio before I bring it to I'm going to bring it to my house, but it's just not doing quite as good as I would like. But it's the best Ecovacs I've had so far. So again, bear with me on the website. Right now it's very basic. I got a team working on it. It's turning out to be harder than we thought to get this new website up and running with my top picks, with my affiliate links. It's mainly about getting you the information. So again, I want to get you the information. I'm gonna develop, like I've got it wrote down here right here. I'm gonna have my wife make a spreadsheet for ad versus reality scorecard, and that's gonna go on the website. So you can see for yourself how I kind of have been forgetting how these ad versus realities went. I've done so many now, and I know the Roborock Curve 2 did amazing, but I need to get that information for you to see the review card, which is the scorecard, the ad versus reality scorecard, which that's okay. I don't weight that as much as taking it to my home and actually using it for 3 months. Because we don't always have coffee spilt. We don't always have grease on the floor. We're mainly after, is it maintaining my house? When company's coming over, the first thing my wife asked me to do is she's like, get these things cleaning in all the different rooms. And by the time company comes over, I feel like our house is clean. So that's the main thing. It's maintaining, cleaning up. The dog threw up in the living room last night. It's not gonna go clean that. If I do spill a cup of coffee, I'm probably not gonna send the robot to go clean that. But for some things I do. So yeah, a lot to come. Check out my website. I'm anxious to get all that information for you, the scorecards, the data sheets. There's so much data on these robots. I kind of just I think I can grab the big stuff. I don't care about a lot of other little details, but I want to know dirt detect sensor, hot water, hot air, suction power. It's a number. I don't know. If one's higher than the other one, that's very, very hard to tell with so many different carpet types and everything. So again, I do appreciate everybody's support. JustADataApproved.com. Lots more to come there. Lots more information for you. And I got some exciting news on that website. I got a really cool feature that's going to help first-time robot buyers. So if you're first time, very intimidated by buying a robot, hey, click this button, answer 4 or 5 questions. It's going to give you my recommended robot. In about 20 seconds, you're going to have a recommendation from me, and you've never known what robot to buy before. So that feature's coming soon. They're working on it. It's been a little bit more challenging than I would have liked, but I can't wait. My job is to get you the best robot at the best price, and I just don't want you wasting your money. I wasted my money too much on robot vacuum cleaners. I bought all the iRobots. All that money was wasted, and I don't want you wasting your money. There are better robots at really, really good prices. So again, JustADataApproved. I do have a website right now. It's just very basic. It's got my robot picks, and I'll try to kind of move that around accordingly. And you can always email me. I do respond to emails. But again, JustADataApproved.com. I've got an email list. It's got my tips and tricks. It's got all my top robots. I'll be putting some of the sale events coming up on there. So again, thanks everybody. Let me know what you think of the ad versus reality. This one's a little long. They had a lot of claims though. So again, thanks everybody. If you could, please like, subscribe, and thanks again.